truly see, react, and create visual content. We'll explore the core ideas behind each system's architecture and examine how they interpret prompts and constraints and compare their performance across realism, creativity, contextual understanding, and visual coherence. We'll expose both the strengths and the current limitations of each of these models. So, whether you're building with AI, designing visual experiences, or simply fascinated by how these machines work, this session will give you a sharper and more practical perspective on where AI image generation is headed next. And to guide us through this session, I am honored to welcome our expert speaker, Mr. Rushikesh Meharwade. He is the founder of Vidvatta and also is the vice president of data science at Motilal Oswal. With over 13 plus years of experience spanning across data science, performance testing, application monitoring, NLP, and corporate training, he has worked with leading organizations such as Capgemini and Renault Nissan. A passionate educator and mentor for top edtech platforms, he is widely recognized for his expertise in machine learning, NLP, Python, and AI problem solving. And today he will be taking you through the session. So before I hand over the session, let me quickly inform you that this would be a webinar where you can text via the chat window or the Q&A tab. And if you have any questions, please keep it engaging. Do use the chat window and the Q&A tab. We have kept this as a listen-only mode. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Rushikesh.
Hey, thanks a lot, team. Thanks a lot for the great introduction, and hello, everyone. Welcome to a bit of apologies beforehand. I have a bit of a cough and coffee throat, so I'll be coughing a bit. But yeah, so my name is Rushikesh Meharwade, and so a good of information is already given about me. But just to give again a brief of my experience and exposure in the whole AI world, I have like around 14 years of experience in the IT industry. And out of this 14, like if I go to the start, the initial experience, like around 5 years of my career, was more into software testing, production engineering, and uh, more of testing, data analytics, and all those kind of things. But around 2017, 18, 2016, like we were dealing with a lot of data. We had like production systems data and all. Analyzing that data was a very tricky thing. We used to do basic automations and all, but then I got to hear like around that time there are two trending topics. Okay, right now the way you have AI agents and all running her work, similar to that around 2016, this terms around machine learning was something very high everywhere. So then around that time, I got into this field, and around that time, providing training in this space was a niche. There were not many ethics at that time. So Great Training was a very earlier initial player in that time. And then Great Learning had this course called as Business Analytics and Business Intelligence. And this Business Analytics, Business Intelligence was more into R because at that time R was more popular. And then slowly things started to transition around Python. But again, at that point, like we had this 1 year long weekend, not weekend, monthly 2 to 3 days of courses were there. It was more physical. And that was a great time that we had in terms of getting knowledge, understanding things around machine learning, how it works. That gave us a good foundation. I would say that was still a foundation. But after the foundation, we had to still learn, adapt to this whole market because at that time, again, the resources were limited. So then I got into some different roles around data scientist, managers, vice president, lead. There are different roles which I transitioned into. And now, like last 1 year, I transitioned again. I left my job, which I was in last, and then I'm fully focusing on one, education. Second is we are helping companies build products integrated with AI-based solutions. So we are working with multiple clients and helping them adapt AI, integrate AI into their systems. So that's a brief about my role. So just to give a format around what we are going to do, Now, this is going to be more interactive session. I don't want to be the person who would be speaking. So I want also for you guys to interact and provide the questions as and when you have it. Don't keep any questions in your mind. Just the moment you have it, you put it over the chat. I may not be able to immediately respond, but I do see there is a hi here from Krishna. Hi, Krishna. Great. Thanks for putting the message. But yeah, anytime you have a question, please don't hesitate to put it directly over the chat. I may not be able to immediately respond, but in between, I'll be having a look into the chats and then we'll be helping. But don't keep it in your mind that I'll ask it after some time. The moment you have it, I would say just put it over the chat window. Okay, so that is the only thing as a rule I would say we all would be following. But other than that, let's get started. Now, in the last 4 years, AI as a field has grown tremendously. There is an exponential growth that is happening with respect to the AI. Now, within that, this LLMs as a system, large language models that you all may know of, has started like around 2017, 18. There was this paper called as Attention is All You Need. That paper actually transitioned the whole industry that came up with a model called the transformer models. And this transformer models actually allowed the whole AI industry to transition. Earlier, it was very difficult to train the model on large data, but transformers allowed us to train on a large amount of data and create this world knowledge models which you see nowadays. Okay, to the whole public, 2020 or 21 when ChatGPT came, they saw the AI, but a lot of things were running in the background. We were building many different models and all every time. But then around 2021 when ChatGPT, OpenAI came up with the ChatGPT, that just changed a lot of things. Now we mostly talk about LLMs, which is large language models. But on top of the language models, there was also one more trending thing which was running in the backend, which is the images. Okay, like how do we create some realistic images just based on the prompt? Before to that, those things were very simple. With respect to images, the things were not that complex. We used to only say that, okay, this image is X or Y. We can say that, okay, this image contains a cat and this image contains a dog. This is where a human is present. This is the what the human looks like. So the things with respect to the images and the applications were very limited around before the image-based models. But then this systems again, the image-based systems got transitioned a lot before to this recent trend. There is a stable diffusion, mid-journey. All of this were the main companies which were taking the images industry. But then GPT and Gemini or Google came up with some more models which just change the way we have been interacting. Now, with respect to ChatGPT, I think most of you may have heard of the AI Ghibli trend. How many of you heard about the AI Ghibli trend or have changed your photos with the AI Ghibli? How many of you have done that? Can you just put it over the chat, yes or no? Have you guys heard of AI Ghibli and have you used AI Ghibli? Awesome, awesome. I do see a good number of yeses here. Okay, some even say no. So that's still interesting to hear that, yeah, some have heard, some have not heard, and some have actually used it. So that's good. So yeah, Ghibli trend was one thing that started around some 1.5 to 1.5. I think mostly it started where the whole goal was you give any image and it'll transition it to more anime style. Anime, there is a Ghibli studio, and this Ghibli studio creates some form of images or anime style cartoons. And this ChatGPT, the GPT based model, image model that came out, this GPT based image model was able to, sorry, this image model was able to create a very realistic looking images from the original image. Like that's where all people got to see the power with respect to the image generation. Before to that, there was this mid journey which was creating images, but again the realisticness was not that good. But ChatGPT showed to the world that yes, we can build images which are more realistic. And then after 1 year, like last just 4 or 5 months back, this Nano Banana came into the picture. Okay, and Nano Banana is again classy with respect to the prompt versus the generation that it can do. It's just like very good. There were a lot of challenges beforehand. Nano Banana solved those. Again, GPT also came up with the one more update called as the GPT 1.5, GPT Image 1.5. There are model names internally which are there. Like Nano Banana came up with Nano Banana Pro, Nano Banana Flash. There are some variants to Nano Banana versus ChatGPT came up with GPT Image 1, GPT 1, Image 1.5. There are different models by these people. We will discussing more on these aspects, but this is where the whole trend, like all those systems comes up with a new type of trend, then the whole internet goes big over this. Now, I have been using Nano Banana for a lot of automations with respect to content creation, uh, presentations, and even like some documentation, creating architecture diagram. There are a lot of use cases. I'll also share some uh, over this PPT also. So we will do that. Okay, so that's the high level picture as how these models have come into the picture. It's just a competition that's going on with multiple providers, and because of this competition, humans are winning. It's like these models from just a generators are getting more and more toward being more creative. Okay, the whole creative aspect and angle is coming out of the systems, which like the original artists are also facing issues. Like the Ghibli trend that started, the Ghibli studio actually tried to sue OpenAI. A lot of things happened. I'm not very sure of the results of that, but there were some few things started around that point. Okay, so let's get started now in the actual part. Perfect. So first of all, what is Nano Banana? Now, Nano Banana has come up with different models. All of these are models, and when I say model, can someone tell me like when we say model, okay, like this LLM model, ChatGPT model, what does this model basically mean? Can you guys put it over the chat? Like, what do you mean by model? And there is nothing right and wrong. Okay, you just guys can put anything you know about. Okay, so please put what do you think model is? Okay, I'm waiting for your responses. Okay, so Sriram is saying model is version control. Okay, anyone else would like to try? Good try, Sriram. Creating an object for giving insights and business recommendations. Okay, Siddha, that's good. That's good. System of things that help finish a task. Okay, Ankita says curriculum. Curriculum. Okay, framework. Good, good. A bunch of codes created to follow a particular task. Okay, good. AI image generation tool. Set of algorithms used to perform an AI task. Specialized algorithms. Okay. Specialized training program. Very good. Fantastic comments are coming here. Model set of rules helps to get dedicated output. Okay. Model is program trained to recognize patterns and make predictions. I think good. So now, see, you may have heard of a mathematical model kind of thing. Now, model is any type of system that represents some kind of a knowledge. Okay, some kind of rule, some kind of knowledge, some kind of systems. So, model basically defines a certain aspect of a system that you're providing an input and then you're getting an output of that model. So, in uh, the data science, AI, ML, all the spaces, we have data and we want to learn some knowledge from the data. Knowledge would represent the patterns, any type of systems like we want to learn. So this model basically says the learnings. all the learnings could be represented in the form of model, which are sometimes humans understandable and sometimes human not understandable. You can give it an input, and this rules will be applied what it has learned, and then it will give output. Okay, even the large language models, they have learned from the whole world, like the whole internet. It has learned some probabilities with respect to the words. That okay, if there is this a word one, word two, word three, the highest probability of this word is going to be the next. So they come up with the word, understand the word probability internally. So that's a model. The model is nothing but set of learnings which it has got. Like, and we train the systems, these models to learn the knowledge based on the data. We keep feeding the data, and from that data, this model learns the knowledge, and that knowledge is then saved and used to make the predictions, insights, analytics, all of it together. So all of these companies are working on building this models, like large language model. When we say large language model, it's a model of language. Earlier, it used to be small, but then when this transformer models were allowed and OpenAI started with creating the large models on the whole internet and base data, then they were called. Earlier, it was only called as LM. Okay, around I would say 2018, 19, 20. Around that time, it was only called as LM, a language model. Then, as the scale got much larger, earlier LM we used to work on local systems, but then, as the scale got too big, which we cannot run in a single system, then it was treated as a large language models. Okay, now why I'm talking about all this model as a concept is because you'll be hearing this term model again and again whenever you are dealing with the AI as a topic. Okay, whenever you're dealing with AI as a topic, this language model will keep coming in. So when we say Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash image model, it's a set of learning that it has learned as how to transform the prompt into an image part. It may not be very similar to how the text works, but images are slightly different. Initially, there is a concept called as a diffusion. Okay, one of our algorithms called as a diffusion came into picture, and diffusion allowed us to generate images from the prompt. Then that concept got enhanced a lot. Now these are some much more complex system. Doesn't just have a stable diffusion was one of our algorithm. Stable diffusion was a company which utilized the diffusion as the algorithm to build the images, and then everyone started to build much more better than that. Now, Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash is one model. Now, recently there are some more updates to it. There's a Gemini 3 Flash Nano Banana. There is a Gemini uh, 3.0 Pro Nano Banana. Okay, now these are like two different variety of Nano Banana, one which is much more refined and one slightly fast and still more accurate. So there are multiple variants to this. Then the Nano Banana is, as I said, one is that there are multiple models. One is optimized for speed, realism, and subject consistency. Also textual data representation. Earlier, one of the big challenges with these models was putting text inside the image. Okay, now you're generating the image, but the text was not very stable. There used to be a lot of mess up that was happening with respect to the text. But Nano Banana solved that. Like a first model that came up with a very good textual consistency, character consistency, lot of things as a consistent way. If you say you should do this to a good level, it will be able to represent. Never 100%, because the systems are probabilistic in nature. One thing you have to understand is all LLM models are probabilistic in nature, which means there's always some probability associated with the outcomes, but that probability is never or almost not 100%. It will always be slightly less or more or less than that. And support advanced features like multi-image editing and fusion of those images. In Nano Banana, if you go with the Gemini or you use a API-based version, you can provide a reference image or multiple images and say that I want to do this with this images. It will be able to merge together, combine, and then provide you the response. When Nano Banana started, like the trend was going on recently, the 3.0 Pro model, one one trending image which was going on over the internet. I think many of you must have seen that. Like all the big CEOs of different companies, they are standing together and talking and discussing in rooms. They are standing somewhere outside. Has anyone seen that? Like there is a Sam Altman, the Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella. Everyone is standing together, Elon Musk, and trying to talk or discuss on certain things. Has anyone seen that image? That image is like one of a very best case with respect to the image generation, because before to that, that kind of thing was very tricky. Any human has to said identify the curves from an image, cut that image, put it, but you can't change the content of the image. You can't say that okay, make this person smile, make this person cry. But with Nano Banana, it became very much possible that you can just give it a images. You can even say that make this person smile, make this person cry, and then create an output out of it, and it will be able to do that. So that kind of a advanced feature is also supported with respect to the Nano Banana. Gaining popular in social media and 3D figures is something that is trending. Again, you have also seen people building some mini 3D characters out of their own faces, like you provide a whole body image. You say that okay, transform this to Hulk or transform this to Captain America, and you say that okay, this is a 3D area, and you create a 3D image out of it. It will be able to. Because again, that was a trending thing, multiple trending thing that used to come. Again, there was a trending thing around the sari. So that is the main concept with respect to this model. Okay, then with ChatGPT, it is slightly different. ChatGPT slightly focuses on some different aspects. OpenAI's model was like it's again integrated with the image generation. We have a pure API based model that you can call, or you use a ChatGPT interface. With ChatGPT interface, you directly have an image generation feature. But if you want to build your own automated system, then you can have this GPT image 1.5 or 1. These are the separate models that you can use. Now, how ChatGPT's image generation slightly differs is ChatGPT focuses more on the styles, the style, the art, the variety with respect to that. Gemini or Nano Banana focus more on the reality aspect, like you're trying to represent the real objects as it is, textual data as it is, whereas the GPT-5 focus more on the style, art. You want to create something artistic, you want to integrate more colors and all, then the ChatGPT's image generation model goes very big and effective in interpreting some descriptions which are abstract and trying to provide a narrative with respect to the prompt. And ChatGPT is very strong in terms of as I say, like artistic, experimental, and you want to integrate some brand focused styles. You say that okay, our images should follow this colors. Okay, so for example, Great Learning has this blue color, so it should follow this blue color. Or for example, now here we have an orange color, so it should follow this orange color. And these models will be able to represent those aspects in a much more creative way. Now, Nano Banana has been training a lot in multiple applications. GPT models mostly trended when there was a scenario with respect to the Ghibli trend. They started with that Ghibli kind of trend, but then GPT Nano Banana took a lot of other new systems. Like their Nano Banana Pro is on a higher level thing right now. Popularized through the 3D figure and imagery and viral, the sari trend was there. So multiple trends that came up with this. But there are multiple use cases with respect to the Nano Banana, which is possible. So first is like you can generate some 3D avatars for digital identity. You can just transform any of your images into much more refined digital identity. It has like social media editing capability or quick creative posts that you can build with this. I heavily use it to build architectures. For example, like I have a product, and for that product, I want to build a complete architecture by giving a proper descriptions. You can integrate the AWS-based logos, or for example, let's say there's a Kubernetes, Redis, and some AWS-based concepts. You just mention that okay, this is what I want to create with the proper textual content. It will be able to build a very good image. I also use it a lot for social media content editing, that I can provide some content and ask it to make some editing, and it will be able to do it in a much more better way. Marketing, product mockups. Now, have you guys also heard of a tool called as a Google Stitch? Has anyone heard of a tool called as a Google Stitch? So Google Stitch is again one of a very good tool. I would say people who are from the front end and who have been interacting with respect to the Figma. Okay, if you have been working with Figma, you will find the Google Stitch to be very useful. Google Stitch designs interfaces. It is not about building the products. Google Stitch purely focuses on building the Figma style web interfaces. You can say that, okay, I'm building an edtech or I'm building a social media marketing. It will just give you a mock-up with respect to the individual pages which should come. And those pages also comes up with the complete code. You can give it option with respect to two options, like you generate with Nano Banana just as the image, or you generate pure editable content. So it generates first the image, and then from the image it generates the HTML content that you can utilize to build your, like, use it in your own products. So that's again a very good product with respect to the product mockups. Nano Banana as the ecosystem is slightly larger. They have on top of it the video building tool, the VO. Image plus videos can be integrated in a pipeline where you first generate an image with Nano Banana and then pass it to the VO for the video generation out of it. So you can, once you know coding and then from the coding you understand the APIs, you can automate these things. Not just that, there is again a separate product with Google for the video editing. Okay, they have a complete different product for video editing. So even that you can explore to build an end-to-end application for video editing. Now, with respect to the features, if we think here, so if you see, one thing is like with respect to the subject consistency, that whatever images you are providing as an input to this models, Nano Banana tries to maintain them in a much more better and stable way. On top of it, GPT-5 is not very good in terms of maintaining your subjects as a consistent way in the images. As I said, it focuses more on the artistic style of things, where you can say that, okay, give this kind of a face to this person or change some visuals with respect to the background. So all those kind of things are more prioritized as compared to the subject consistency. Realism and finishing both are very good in terms of providing that real feeling with respect to the finishing aspect. Like you will not feel this image is incomplete. Earlier, 2 years back, if you have seen any image generation model, the content quality versus what we have now is just super uh, different. Prompt adherence. Now, this is one of a very important thing in any LLM system, be it a text-based or image generation. The thing is, whatever prompt you are providing, how good your system is able to provide output with respect to that prompt which you are providing. Okay, so here prompt engineering for both of them is strongly high. Like if you say make changes to this, add this text, this kind of thing, this model will be able to do in a much more better way. Editing with respect to the multiple images. Now, Gemini supports almost close to 16 images. Okay, as per my last read, you can provide 16 images as an input prompt with your prompt, like what you want to do with that. And it will be able to use all of them, provide a editing, provide a fusion, and you can do multiple things with respect to the editing with Nano Banana. So this thing plays a very important role because people see one of the challenges is this image generation models, you will not get in first try what you want. Sometimes you may need to do multiple trials to understand like what you really want. Is it coming or not? It's not in like one go you completely get what you want. So once you have an image generated, you want to make some multiple edits to it. That okay, now this image is available. You try to change this aspect, you modify this aspect. So there, this feature becomes a lot more useful which the GPT-5 does not give directly. There are limitations to how much change you can make, but Gemini Nano Banana provides a lot of changes aspect with respect to the images. Now, speed, both of them comes up with the varieties. Nano Banana specifically has two varieties. As I said, one is a Flash and one is a Pro. Flash is a much faster version, whereas it is faster but slightly less accurate, versus Pro is more accurate and more powerful with respect to the generation, more accurate and more slightly slower but more accurate. As compared to GPT-5, GPT-5 also is having only one version right now, GPT 1.5 image. So within that, you have a fixed speed. Creativity and style. Now, this is where the GPT model comes into the main picture. Whereas Nano Banana is not very creative. Uh, to some level, it is there, but not that much. So it is a moderate in terms of this. But now here, GPT-5 is like a much more creative and style ranges. Like when you are using their API comes up with multiple styles options. You can specify in the prompt itself that okay, I want to go with this styles, and it will be able to pretty good follow that style while providing the output. Now, if you really want to access this model, there are two ways to do that. One is you can use it in their web interface, which is going to be the Gemini interface. And second is going to be from the API. So from the API, you can access the model, okay, and then provide a responding. You can automate things. Okay, with respect to the automations, you can do that using the APIs. So API has a different pricing, whereas when you're building it from the web interface, you have a limited whatever is available. For people who are non-tech, they can use the Gemini and the ChatGPT interface to get it generated. But people who are more tech focused, they can work directly with the API, but it has a separate cost. Every image, every image has a separate token-based costing. You will be charged based on that. Like I heavily use it for building content with respect to our courses and any course content that I'm designing, and it works fantastically. I'll also show one example with respect to uh, the PPTs right now. Okay, can you guys see the screen still? If you can just confirm if you can see the screen or not. Okay, good. So let me just see. So recently, what I did is, uh, so now see, even you can get the slides generated within the Google slide itself. Okay, you can get the slides generated with respect to the Google Slides. Now here you can give it the same image, like it will take this image and make some transformations, or you can give it some more prompt here that okay, I want to do this, and it will be able to generate a live image. So in this case, it is quickly able to, let me see if I can open it in a new tab and showcase. I'm not sure if new tab would be visible to you all. Can you guys see the image? Okay, perfect. So as you can see, I'll do is let me see if I can just reshare it. Okay, great. Yeah, so I just gave it one example, and it was able to use that internal knowledge and create this kind of a PPT content. Where to some level, if you see, not some level, the textual representation is just fantastic. So this is an image. This is still not like it is trying to paste the content and then create the image. It is fully a image where the textual representation, the images, all of it is able to maintain in a much more better way. It is able to transform that image, this PPT slide. Okay, the same slide. It is able to transform where we say that how these two models differ from each other. It just by itself divided that into multiple angles here, the training focus, multi-image fusion, pipeline analogy, and for each of this, Nano Banana GPT-5, it created a very fantastic looking PPT. How many of you guys think like this is a very good or no? What do you think? How many of you think this is good? Good, great, bad? What's your view? Okay, great, great. So it also provides options where you can provide an additional image and then ask it to generate some content. So you want to generate an infographic. So there are multiple options that you can generate it here. So Google has integrated this option in their multiple tools. So which can be used to then like you can just integrate it in multiple places. Okay. Now coming to how these algorithms differ from each other. So first is the training focus. Now in terms of training, see what do we mean by training? So training, first of all, basically means we feed amount of data, a large amount of data as an input to this algorithms, where from this data, this model learns some representations. Okay, that's a model. It learns the probabilistic integration with respect to how to generate the pixels in what place. From all the training data, it understands. Now, how these companies are training with what type of data, that's how this model also learns. So, in terms of focus of the training, Nano Banana, like identity preservation and subject consistency is their main focus where they focus that okay, the individual identities that we try to provide are preserved in a good way, and then the subjects are also consistent. Now, what I mean by subject consistent is if I'm generating multiple images with one character, that character should be visible across the images in a similar way. If I'm using the same prompt, it should come in a same way in multiple images. So Nano Banana tries to preserve that part very well. GPT-5 focuses more on the creativity style explanations and the narrative driven, like more of a story building kind of aspects are more with respect to the GPT-5. Multi-image fusions is supported with Nano Banana, uses some advanced mapping in terms of the neural network building. So all of these are neural networks. These models are trained using the neural networks, and through the neural networks, the whole goal is you feed a large amount of data. And in this case, they even train the systems like how to take multiple images, transform them to a new image. So all those other goes as part of a training. And Nano Banana excels in working with the multi-image fusion systems. GPT-5 is not that much focused on the image with multiple angles. Pipeline, if you think of it like Nano Banana goes more with like publisher subscriber model for controlled pipelines where there are multiple pipelines and only whichever is required, that pipeline is invoked to generate the images. And then open creative generation, again, GPT-5 is purely focused on creative, so it only comes into picture when you have a creative side of things you want to implement. Now, if you see some examples with respect to the generation, now see, this is one limited generation but things may change slightly based on the scenario to scenario. But same image now generated with the two different tools. In one, a mysterious underwater forest filled with glowing plants, a fish weaving through the trees, and shaft of sunlight filtering down from above. It's a illusion illustration, like fantasy illustration that we are trying to create. If you see, in terms of the consistency around the prompt, Nano Banana Pro is doing better. Okay, right now the scenario is such that Nano Banana Pro is working better in terms of whatever prompts we are giving. So this is where the prompt adherence comes into picture. Like it is able to follow that the sunlight is filtering down, there is underwater forest, there are glowing plants, so it can showcase the colorful plants in this case right now. Fish swimming through the trees. To some level, it is able to do good. So creates an image with a fish that looks very realistic, lively, and moving. The colors feel like, in this case, the fishes and all are looking good, but the color part is not coming very good. Now, one thing I would like to highlight is now sometimes a prompt that you use in both of them may require some different depth. Nano Banana is able to understand the things in lesser prompt. That's good. But ChatGPT may require some more deeper prompts where you can describe every single aspect in a more detail. Then it will be able to work on those things in a better way. Nano Banana delivered a much livelier scene in this case. Like winner, we can say Nano Banana wins with a vibrant scene that better filled the prompt request. You can clearly see the winner based on this. So overall, what we can say is like Nano Banana is a Google's cutting edge image model, which is the right now. This is right now top. But the whole industry is in a tight competition. So right now it's a Nano Banana. We cannot say who will be the winner after like some 3 months. So within 3 months, we may have a new player that may do a different transformation with respect to the generation. So that's possible. But currently we have Nano Banana, which is a cutting edge model or SOTA model, we call it state of the art in this space that comes up with the speed, consistency, multi-image editing, even to some level, creativity will also be managed with respect to Nano Banana. GPT-5 is purely focused more in terms of creativity, stylistic interpretation, but may struggle with the consistency preservation. Now, one thing which I tried to do with ChatGPT versus Nano Banana some time back was creating storybooks. I have characters, and with the characters, I wanted to build some storybooks for my daughter, where like we started with two characters, we build with Nano Banana, and then we give that character as an input and ask it to generate a different story frames. There are frames with the prompts, and we want this model to use these characters in a similar way. Okay, so Nano Banana was still good. Now, if you guys use Gemini, you can check there is a gem. Gemini comes up with this thing called as a gems. There is a storybook gem. If you're interested in generating stories, you can use the nano, not the Nano Banana, you can use the gem called as storybook gem. You ask it that I want a story, you just give few lines and then say the character styles and all. It'll take some 10 minutes and will generate a complete images, book, everything for you. So give it a try. Professional must evaluate the needs based on what they want. Like they want the brand consistency or more of creativity is what they really need. So these two things depends. Like you want to showcase your brand in a consistent way, you go with Nano Banana. You want more creativity as a range, then you go with GPT. So Great Learning Programs actually covers all of these different aspects with respect to learning about AI. So what really happens in this case is with respect to the technologies, Great Learning is India's leading edtech platform for professionals and higher educations both together, provides a best-in-class completion rates, learner satisfactions, and also many people have transitioned their career with multiple programs from Great Learning. On top of it, they have this PGP program in AI and ML that is ranked higher, that comes up with like 12 months of program, has a very flexible structure, and comes up with like a Great Lakes plus UT Austin integration, and has been ranked number one for multiple consecutive years. It more of comes up with the hands-on learning and peer-to-peer learning both come together. The faculty who have designed and are teaching the course are like people who are from industry plus the technical or educational space both, so they know what are the teaching is required versus what industry requires. On top of it, you'll be learning multiple different tools with respect to supervised learning, unsupervised learning, which is a core foundation with respect to machine learning. Then learning how this neural networks and deep learning really work. Then the computer vision, which is a core foundation for understanding how this nano banana or diffusion-based models really work. And then the NLP, which is large language models. And NLP is not just about the large language models, but NLP is a whole study with respect to how do you process the textual data. So that part is covered in the NLP. You learn multiple tools, and you also get to learn through immersive experience learning. So that's it for today's content. We just wanted to give a high-level picture with respect to what is possible and how these two models differ with respect to each other. If you're really interested to learn, there is a lot of content which is already there with respect to how do you could you best possible way use the Nano Banana, how do you best possible way use ChatGPT, and how these models really work over the online. But if you are someone who likes to learn with a mentor or with someone who can guide you, who you need some consistent support, you should contact with the Great Learning team to get more details on the program and enroll for the same. So with that, I stop on the content, but I'll be open to answer any questions you have with respect to learning, with respect to AI, anything. I'll be open to answer anything. So please go ahead. Okay, so I do see a question. There are lots of tools with same features in market are coming day by day. Then how can shortlist any one of them and being master in it? And long run, which tools are most useful as software engineer and QA engineer perspective? So that's a great question, Suraj, that you have there. See, this market is right now in a bit of a hype cycle to some level. So there are a lot of companies that are coming up with a similar type of products, but there is not much of an edge. So those companies over some time will go, and all these large players will try to eat the small players. But if you're a software engineer person versus a business person, there's a slight variety. If you're a business side person and you're just a user, okay, you are just going to be a user of this AI systems, then what you're trying to do is you're trying to find out a best tool with respect to your problem statement. Okay, for example, you're building images for a course content and all, you may go with Nano Banana. You need some artistic style, you study, you go with ChatGPT. Or you are working on the code, you're going with the Claude code or Cursor. So there are some best tools that you can search around in any space. Okay, so you can use Gemini's deep research facility. You can use ChatGPT's deep research facility or even a Perplexity. I usually do that because there are a lot of players in the market for anything. For example, I want a marketing solution. So always do the deep research around the marketing, asking ChatGPT, okay, you research over everything, you search all the tools which are available in the market, give me features of each, disadvantage of each, so it will scan the whole internet, study around multiple tools, and give you a summarized information. Then you make a decision. So otherwise, manually studying every tool which is there is not going to be possible. So leverage those tools. If you're a coding person, you have to look at the benchmarks. Okay, there are a lot of benchmarks around different models. Okay, you just search over LLM benchmarks, any new model that keeps coming, this companies will benchmark them and say that okay, this model is good in coding, this model is good in image generation, this model is good in Excel activities, this model is good in decision making. So they will do that ranking. So you leverage those ranking. Okay, so you can't do manually validate everything. So you have to leverage the systems to understand what is good for you. I'm not sure if yeah, good, Suraj. So how can the context window of a prompt is calculated when we are inserting image in the prompt? So, uh, Satvi Saab, what really happens is it goes with the pixels basically. So what quality of image you are giving? So the pricing is all calculated based on the input pixel versus the output pixel. So overall on the pixel density, your pricing is calculated. It also gives you option to generate a different quality images. So you can pick up what quality you want. When you're working with ChatGPT and all, it doesn't matter. But when you're working with the APIs, there it matters. So you can define the pixel density. You can reduce the quality of your input images if required, and then you can use it. So it all works on the prompts. Sorry, the pixels. Pixels are considered as a prompt tokens and then calculated. The pricing and all is calculated on that. Do we have a smart way to test AI models learning data? I want to understand what is the spectrum of model latent space. Now, see, when you talk about the latent space versus the high level input output learning, latent space is slightly tricky to understand because these models are large in size. At what level, what latent space you're trying to understand for the model is tricky, but you're just talking about the input output. There are a lot of eval strategies. Okay, it's called as evaluations, evals, where we try to see the model's response with respect to a expected response. The systems are slightly different, not slightly, very different from traditional software engineering. In traditional software engineering, function, if you pass it same input multiple times, it should give you same result. But with LLM, that is not the case. The same input can still have multiple outputs generated with everything still being same. So evaluation of the system plays an important role. There are multiple frameworks with respect to evaluating the system. Some frameworks are like Ragas. There is a one more thing called as I missed the name, but even multiple frameworks have tools around evaluations. It's also called as um, the LLM as a judge. So also have a look at the LLM as a judge if you are really interested in evaluating the systems. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm able to answer your question in the right way, Satrisa, but let me know if this is not clear. Okay, let me see the Q&A section. I'm working on Fall.ai. Okay, that's great, Preeti. Good to know that. So the team has shared a feedback form. So if you have any queries, please fill the form and the team will get back to you. Okay, so I hope I was able to fill in some additional knowledge on this image-based models today. Okay, so the whole goal was to give you some high-level picture around what these models can do and how they differ from each other. So I hope, yeah, thanks a lot, Satarisa. Good to know that you like the session. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great learning and have a great day. Take care. Bye to you all.
Thank you, sir, for this insightful session. Um, I'll just be floating this form in the comment section for 30 seconds longer, and then we'll be closing the session. So if you have any further questions, please do fill in the form, and our team will get in touch with you. And thank you once again for taking time out and attending the session.